Hi, this is Eric Martin with BoardGameGeek. I'm here with Alex Jaeger at Spielwarenmesse in Nuremberg, Germany. Sort of the first big fair after the news of Asmodee acquiring the English language rights to Catan. And so I wanted to talk with you just a little bit, like, Mayfair has pretty much been synonymous with Catan for 2 decades now.
For a lot of people, that's the case.
Yes.
I mean, certainly there have been a lot of other points along the data, those people that would attach us to
Empire Rails and Cosmic Encounter. There's other
a lot of other stuff that's there, but certainly in the modern era, Catan is the name that a lot of people, and it's been a lot of what we do. It's been a huge part of our business for many years now. So it's definitely a new world, a new reality for us that Catan has been spun off into its own studio with Catan Studio.
Right. So what is the Mayfair goal in terms of the games that you're presenting? How has this changed at all? What is it? What opportunities does it allow you?
Sure. And again, I guess I sort of get to qualify about this because this is now my job is to do. I've been doing acquisition for the company, but for the most part, that's take the designs and then the group gets to decide kind of what they're going to do. And so now that's a little more. It's now development and acquisition is under my title, so It's a little scary, but we're doing all right. It's kind of getting our settle in there. The fact of the matter is obviously the company has contracted in size and in
I know, like Ron Majan and Morgan Donville, and a number of people have gone to this Catan group.
Sure. So for the moment, our plan is sort of retrench a little bit and kind of focus on our hobby roots. Look out, this year is really going to be the year of Agricola for us, and get the new Agricola out, and that and by its kind of its nature, that means we're focusing a lot on the hobby market and the people that are going to be interested in that kind of a product. On the Mayfair side, we have a couple of projects. We're sort of taking a chance to kind of retrench. We have a lot of things that we're looking at from a process standpoint that I think we took some big steps last year in changing some of the deficiencies that we ourselves saw in our games, and I think that's a process that I really want to see us take on this year. To really try, and a lot of those changes are going to happen kind of organically. Clemens Franz of Lookout is now our art director for Mayfair, and is going to be overseeing, not necessarily doing all the art, but it's going to be overseeing the art direction for a lot of our games. We're going to be working a lot more closely with Lookout, both from a product standpoint and from making sure that their marketing and their materials are getting over to the U.S. As quickly as we can, and to give them access to that.
There's already seemed to be a little bit of that anyway, sort of apart from the Catan, because of course 2 years ago it was pretty much Caverna and Goldahoy and this, but then last year it was also Isle of Skye and Grand Austria Hotel and Hengist and Patchwork.
Don't forget Patchwork.
Oh no, I was not forgetting Patchwork. Patchwork is awesome. No. But it was double the number of Lookout titles.
Sure, and a lot of that was, and part of that was the fact that now they knew they would have this distribution, they would have this ability to get into the U.S., and we've been very enthusiastic, certainly, to bring those games over and have them be part of the catalog and part of the Mayfair line. I think what we're hoping to do moving forward, though, is to integrate that a little bit more. So one of our first releases this year, Costa Rica, is really a joint Mayfair Lookout release. It's a game that it's the first game that we really were able to bring to Lookout and decide we wanted to do together as a release. And I expect that will happen a lot more as we move forward. There are going to be games that we're looking at doing that are definitely going to be Mayfair games. Certainly 1844-54 is... I always hate to say that out loud, I'll knock on wood, but hopefully, it's in line for 2016, so we're not going away. Iron Dragon, we're going to have the new Iron Dragon reprint. And so there are things that are very core Mayfair that are still going to be part of the line. So, we're still Lords of Vegas, we're still Nuns on the Run, we're still Alibi, we still have all of those.
Recent Booty definitely is Mayfair. Seems it's not a Lookout.
It's not a Lookout game, but I think we're looking for opportunities to work more closely together on projects, simply because it makes sense to do that, and frankly, Lookout has a wonderful track record, and if we have games that Lookout enjoys and Lookout believes would fit well in their line, it makes pretty good sense if we bring it to the table that we should do it together. And if something Lookout brings, we're going to obviously bring it over to the U.S. enthusiastically. But we would like to very much have that same reverse angle of taking a Mayfair game and being able to have the Lookout distribution, the Lookout name, and the Lookout cachet behind it, only if it makes sense. It's not a case where we're putting Lookout on everything that we publish, because there are games we're looking actually at other partners in Europe for other games that we're doing. But Lookout is we're bound together at the hip at this point. We very much would like to make that relationship as close as we can with the products that we produce. So.
You mentioned deficiencies for Mayfair. I would say graphic design has not necessarily been one of the strong points. The King Chocolate is a great look to it. It is phenomenal, and it was very nice to see.
It is a game. I have to, and again, part of it was, we'll give absolute credit to Morgan Dontonville as the director on that one, of making that game look the way it did. But that was one of those games we came into with a very specific vision. We wanted that game to have a bit of an elegant feel to it. We wanted that game to be on a table and not. And make it kind of look organic, to make it look as if there is some care and some thought. There's always that idea, for as much as we love something like, say, Sheer Panic. It's great to have those wonderful little resin sheep, and everyone looks at them and says, "Oh, how cute!" And then we hit you with a 45-minute brain burner. So we wanted this game to have a little bit of gravitas to it, and the art, we wanted that to reflect that idea. And it is a game that my wife actually found it at a produce spiel and dragged me over. It's like, you have to go play this game. And it was an amazing game. And I've been a huge fan of this game since we got it in-house. And part of it was trying to make sure that the game didn't get overdeveloped, that it remained very core to what we got, the great game that we saw. Part of it was making sure that the art, as much as I could in the position that I was in, reflected that maturity of the design and really the gameplay that was there. I'm really happy with King Chocolate. It's a game that I think is reflective of the kind of game and the kind of art and the kind of presentation that I'd like to see, and not necessarily that everything needs to look like King Chocolate, but that thinking about a game in the context of the audience and the theme, and really how you want that game to present on a table to the players on first contact. And so, Costa Rica, we really, we're looking at that to really kind of make that kind of, you have that jungle theme and bring in the real world elements that we can, from the ecosystem of Costa Rica with our animals and whatnot. I really would like to see that focus moving forward within Mayfair be on that art being not only appropriate to the gameplay, but to really kind of bring you into that experience, whatever that experience may be, however we want to communicate that on the tabletop.
That's something Lookout does. I mean, you know a Lookout game immediately.
Yes.
Like it's clear. It has that identity to it. So I didn't know if that was.
And I'm really hoping that with Clemens as art director for Mayfair, that we don't want to have all of Mayfair games look like Lookout games, but what we do want is
they have different feel. I mean,
they do, and in the case of when we're going to do something together like Costa Rica, looking like a Lookout game is fine because we're working that. That's a dual release. For other games, I'm hoping that Clemens will enjoy the opportunity of perhaps working with other artists to explore some other opportunities, some other graphic presentations. Still using his amazing sense of place and position and using his skills, but to be able to maybe tell a different story, to be able to tell a different thematic presentation than what a typical Lookout might be.
So, reflecting on the Catan sale, and from what you've been talking about here, it sounds like Mayfair's not going out of business. I know that was...
No, there's a joke in the industry that basically says, how do you make a small fortune in gaming? You start with a large fortune. We're at the punchline right now. Okay. All right, we're at the punchline. We have a lot of money within the company. Certainly now again, most of that money went to the people who were shareholders in the old company, and they have, a lot of them were in a position that they were ready for, perhaps to step away, do some other projects, whatever that might be, and they have got their richly deserved, paycheck and have moved on. But that doesn't change the fact that there was a lot of money that stayed resident within Mayfair, and the stability. We continue to produce Catan, manufacture Catan.
Distribute for now.
All of that's in play. There's a transitional agreement that's still something this large. There's that transitional agreement is going to define a lot of that. But certainly in the short term, obviously we're still selling Catan in the short term. Right now we're looking at manufacturing Catan for some period of time still. And a lot of the capacity and a lot of the things that Catan has let us do remain within the company. So we have a full production facility because every Catan game came off of our line in Skokie. So we have the assembly line, we have that production facility. That's something we're looking at ways that we can use that in new and creative ways. We have the warehouse capability that we have with Catan, and that certainly isn't going away anytime soon with the manufacturing. And that, of course, is part of the agreement. We know that we financially can continue to do that and be able to pay our warehouse staff and be able to continue that facility. So there's a lot of very deliberate things that allows Mayfair to move forward with a lot of confidence in this new arrangement. Sure, we're going to be much smaller as a company. That won't be evident at a lot of the shows. At Gen Con, we will still have our large booth. In fact, Catan will still be in our booth at this coming Gen Con. We'll still have our large event area. We're looking forward, what that will look like in 2017 and beyond. But at the end of the day, with Lookout and with the stable of games that we have as part of Mayfair, we still have a pretty tremendous amount of titles and a lot of evergreen titles, a lot of games that people know and love that are not named Catan. And the goal now is to really kind of reintroduce a lot of people to saying, hey, this is the Mayfair that isn't Catan, and we're pretty happy about that.
Thanks very much for the review and the time.
My pleasure.
See what you come out with.
Indeed.
Thanks.